Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and the Brooklyn Nets were sent home in the first round of the playoffs against the Boston Celtics. And a lot of people are asking, like, why aren't people talking more about the Celtics? Why aren't people talking more about the Celtics? This should be about the Celtics win and not the Brooklyn loss. No. It's all about the Brooklyn loss. And I'm going to tell you why right after the bumper. Stay tuned. This will be a good one. What is good, good people? What is good, good people? As I light my candle for the scent of the day, I seen Kevin Samuel do this, and I actually fire up candles every single broadcast. I don't know, I never told you guys this, but I have candles every single broadcast. We got Frozen Lake from Bath and Body Works today, but that's beside the point. This is JeffLightsyJr here with the Black Boss channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, today we're talking about the Brooklyn Nets. We're here to talk about the Brooklyn Nets and how disappointing the Brooklyn Nets were. The Brooklyn Nets lost in the first round of the playoffs. Not only did they lose in the first round of the playoffs, they got swept in the first round of the playoffs. Not only did they get swept in the first round of the playoffs, they actually had Kyrie and Kevin Durant fully healthy, fully ready to go throughout the duration of the first round of the playoffs. And they still got swept, and they still lost, and they still are now going home 1, 2, 3 Cancun, headed on vacation for the next 5 to 6 months before the start of the next NBA season. Their season ended not in June like most expected, not even in May like everyone expected, but actually in April. That is very, very sad. They were the only team in these playoffs to not win a single game. They're only team in this playoffs to get swept. The team with Kevin Durant, the team with Kyrie Irving, the only team in these playoffs to get swept. And a lot of folks, mainly Boston fans, mainly folks that are Boston fans, are like, well, why aren't you guys talking about how good Boston is? And Boston's a team, Boston, the Celtics, blah, 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 blah. Shout out to the Celtics. Shout out to Ime Udoka. Shout out to Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart. Shout out to Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, and a special big shout out to Jason Tatum, who I think has established himself as a superstar. It just is what it is. But this ain't about Boston. Now, granted, Boston is the team that handled business. Boston is the team that did what they were supposed to do. Boston is the team that were borderline scheduled to be in the play-in and work themselves in the second half of the season after being called out by Marcus Smart to being the number 2 seed and really battling for that 1 seed, to now sweeping the Brooklyn Nets, the only team in the NBA once again to sweep anyone in this first round of the playoffs. But this ain't about them. This is about the Brooklyn Nets. This is about Kevin Durant. This is about Kyrie Irving. This is about the mess that is Brooklyn, Ben Simmons as well, because Brooklyn was the overwhelming favorite coming into this season to win the championship. The overwhelming favorite, like 70% of the GMs in the NBA before the season picked Brooklyn. Another 18% picked the Lakers. The Lakers didn't make the playoffs. Brooklyn gets swept in the first round. Had to play in the play-in, by the way, just to get into the playoffs. And the mess that has been Kevin Durant to the Brooklyn Nets. Kevin Durant has been a member of the Brooklyn Nets for 3 years. During those 3 years, he's also been a teammate of Kyrie Irving. During those 3 years, they've never made a conference finals. He left a team that he went to the finals 3 straight years, winning 2 championships and 2 finals MVPs. He left that team to come to this team where they haven't made a conference finals, where they've only had a mess, where they traded away everything for James Harden just to trade James Harden because he was happy with whatever was going on with Kyrie Irving. This is what you came to. This is what you're doing. Kyrie Irving also said when he was there that they didn't need a coach. And then he gets a coach that really not a good coach. And these are the results. See, this is the problem. This is the problem with Kevin Durant because now folks are questioning his greatness. It's like, damn, how good is KD? You getting swept in the first round to a Boston Celtics team when you got Kyrie, when you got Steph Curry, when you got Blake Griffin, when you got, Goran Dragic, or what they say what you want about those players, but those players on the team, those players were good enough for you to be favorites as heading into the season. Now, granted, they thought you would have James Harden, but James Harden had a bounce once he seen what was going on. This is a circus. And the fact that, you guys know I've been a supporter of Kyrie Irving with the whole mandates, vaccines, all that stuff. I've been a supporter from day one. I never blamed him for that. But I will blame him for his play on the court. I will blame him for them not making it out of the first round of the playoffs. I will blame him for not having relevant playoff moments since 2016. Let me repeat this to you. Kyrie Irving hasn't had relevant, really good playoff moments since 2016. You want to know how far back that was? When Kyrie Irving was getting buckets and winning a championship with LeBron James back in 2016, Jason Tatum, who just spanked them on out of the first round of the playoffs with a sweep, along with Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart and Ime Udoka, spanked them. Jason Tatum, that same Jason Tatum who I was just saying is ascending to a superstar, was at Duke. He wasn't even in the league yet. He was at Duke. He was a freshman at Duke. So think about that. Think about that. That is what KD left. And look, and then to add insult to injury, the team that he left, the Warriors, they was down in the mud for a while. I didn't know if they would be able to bounce back. Clay with all them injuries, Draymond with all the injuries. Now, Steph was still Steph, but the team was in the lottery, like high lottery. Every year they got 3 top 10 picks. But it's funny because even in those 3 top 10 picks, they're the favorites to win the championship this year. That team that he left is now the overwhelming, now with the injury to Devin Booker and the injury to Chris Middleton, they're the overwhelming favorites to win the championship this year. And if that happens, if that happens, that's just ugly. Now, granted, you know what I'm saying? Like, we could be like, oh, he still lives a great life. He's made over $200 million. He's got 2 championships. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest players and the greatest scorers in the NBA. All of that is true. But damn, you left that team, who is now the overwhelming favorites to win the championship, without you. And the only, they got 3 top 10 picks since you've been gone. But the biggest contributor outside of their core, Draymond, Steph, Clay, is a guy they drafted at number 29 in Jordan Poole, who's just hooping. He's going crazy. And that team is now the favorites. That team looks like the best team in the NBA. That team looks like they're going to win the NBA championship without you. You haven't been out the second round of the playoffs. You haven't even made a conference finals. You haven't even been out the second round of the playoffs. And your guy, Kyrie Irving, the guy that you left that team for, continues to not be himself when it matters the most. You can say what you want about the vaccine thing. I'm not going to hold that against them. But the fact that you guys in 3 years have only played 58 games together. 3 years, 58 games is bad, because you got to think the NBA season is 82 games. COVID was weird, but they still played 72 games in the COVID year, even with all the weirdness. So in 3 years, that's what, 200 and something games. Out of a possible 200 plus games, they played 58 games together. That's a problem. Now, that first year, I will say KD was hurt. That second year, and then this year, the COVID stuff, because Kyrie didn't play the first 20-something games because of COVID. Just the vaccine mandates. This has been an utter disaster. I've even bold the question: had the Lakers in their experiment with Anthony Davis been a failure? And I wouldn't say it's a failure. It's been underwhelming. They won a championship, but to miss the playoffs 1 year, to get bounced in the first round, you didn't get swept, but you got bounced in the first round another year. But you do have a championship in there. That's the 3 years. Kyrie and KD haven't been out the second round of the playoffs. Kyrie and KD haven't even played a full season together. Kyrie and KD ran James Harden out the door. Say what you want about James Harden, but they ran him out the door for Ben Simmons, who decided he didn't want to play. Back injury, mental health. I'm not going to discredit mental health, because mental health is a real thing. But come on, man. Are you going to play basketball? Like, you get paid $30 million a year to play basketball, and you haven't played. That's a problem. So this is why the Nets are the story, not Boston. And as great as Boston, and Boston could end up in the finals. I'm not putting it past them. I think they're better than Milwaukee without Chris Middleton. I think they're better than Miami. So they could very well end up in the finals. They could very well end up champions, especially if Jason Tatum continues to play the way he's playing, if Marcus Smart continues to play the way he's playing, and if Jaylen Brown can continue to play the way he's playing, maybe even step it up a notch, they could end up winning a championship. But this is about the Nets and the lack of what they've been able to do since acquiring KD and Kyrie. Because that, if you're a superstar, these are expectations you're supposed to meet. We put these same expectations on LeBron James. We put these same expectations on a Kobe Bryant. We put these same expectations on a Michael Jordan. We put these same expectations on a guy like Giannis. Or, we put these, or a guy like Steph. Put these same expectations on these guys. This has been a mess from the jump. And I'm not talking about this season. I'm talking about since the two both decided to come to Brooklyn. And that's a problem. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Leave your thoughts in the chat and in the comments down below. Once again, my name is JeffLightsyJr. with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, a like, share, and subscribe. And you can follow me on Twitter. We have these conversations before I go and post them in these videos right there at JLightsy7, at JLightsy7 on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button, and I will see you next time. Peace.